my name is Courtney Seiberling. I am the author of Yogas, Yamas, and Niyamas, 10 Principles for Peace and Purpose. And what follows is a physical practice of one of these principles. So if you like what you experienced or are interested in learning more about these principles and yoga philosophy, you can buy my book on Amazon. Namaste. Hello, today we're going to be working with one of the Niyamas called Svadhyaya, and this translates as self-study. So this one can be kind of counterintuitive to how we as Westerners approach our days. We're in a very kind of go, go, go lifestyle, but this one really causes us to pause, reflect, slow down, and kind of observe ourselves and our habits. So what you're going to want for practice today is pretty simple. We're going to do a really basic practice. So you'll need one block, and if you don't have a block, you can grab a book or something that's kind of sturdy and about the size of a yoga block, and a blanket, something to sit on. So come to a comfortable seat, place your palms down on your thighs, lift your heart, and close your eyes. And just start to notice your breathing. So our intention as we practice Svadhyaya today is to use our mat as a mirror. So to use our mat to reflect back to us our habits and tendencies. And today will be all about observing those habits and tendencies. And the reason for this is so we can see how we're showing up to ourselves, to our mat, to our practice. And when we do that, we can really kind of get some information about how we're approaching all things in our life. So how we do one thing is usually how we do anything. So just using our mat and our practice as an opportunity to see how we're showing up, see how we're doing things. So noticing your breath, not changing it, just notice how you're breathing. Where the breath is falling, where the breath is rising. And then seal your hands together in a gesture of prayer. Bow your chin into your chest. And just honoring our intention to notice. Go ahead and flutter your eyes open. And we'll start our practice in child's pose. So you can put whatever you were sitting on to the side. So we really want to get what we call our third eye, right in between our forehead, down on the mat. So if you usually come into child's pose, which is knees about the width of the mat and big toes together, and your forehead doesn't touch the mat, go ahead and put your block or your book right underneath your forehead. So we really want something touching the mat, the forehead touching the mat. Noticing how your body feels in this shape and really taking a little survey about the state of your mind right now. So what are you bringing to your mat? What is your mental state? Not changing it, just observing it. Where are you emotionally in this moment today? And just noticing and acknowledging that. And just doing a little scan of the body. So how are you feeling in your body today? Noticing in this shape, what's feeling tight, what's feeling loose, what's feeling energized, what's feeling tired. Remembering that breath and starting to deepen it here. So nice big inhales in and out of the nose, nice big exhales out of the nose. Take a few more nice big full breath cycles here. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and lift yourself up. So we'll come to hands and knees. You can put your block to the side. If you have sensitive knees like I do, you can put a blanket underneath your knees. So the wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders, fingers spread wide, knees are stacked underneath the hips. And we'll just come in for a couple really simple cat-cows. So inhale, let the belly drop, let the heart shine. And exhale, pulling everything up and in. So rounding in that upper back, pressing into your knuckles. And then inhale, belly drops, heart shines. So we can always remember to connect our breath to our movements. Exhale, pull everything up and in. Just a couple more like that. noticing how it feels to move in this shape. Always noticing where your mental state is. Coming to a neutral spine, place the heels of your hands where your fingertips are. Spread those fingers really wide. So we're about ready to come into downward facing dog. We don't want to dump into our wrists. We want to really press into our knuckles to energize the arms, lifting up out of the shoulders. Tuck your toes and send your hips to the sky for your first downward facing dog. And just use this as a moment to really notice and explore how the rest of your body is feeling today. So how are you feeling in the backs of your legs and your shoulders? Letting your head softly shake from yes and no. Really pressing into the knuckles, rotating your inner arms towards each other, lifting up out of your shoulders so you're not dumping into the wrists. And then if you want to pedal your feet out here, maybe noticing one calf is tighter than the other. And after a few little pedals, let's come into a stationary downward facing dog. So no movement, head sinking down towards the mat, hips lifting towards the sky. And then I really invite you to notice today, especially your transitions. So those are kind of some informing moments. So do you kind of sloppily move from pose to pose? Does your mind take over a sense of dread when you're going into kind of a harder position? Just noticing how you approach and how you show up as you transition. Go ahead and look in between your hands, step your feet where your hands are. It can be a few steps. Inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. And exhale, let's come into a forward fold. So nice big bend in the knees, head is falling towards the earth. Feel the ground beneath you supporting you. And then we'll start to roll up to stand. Little piece by little piece, head is the last thing to come up. And then coming into mountain pose. So lifting your heart here, shoulders rolling down your back, palms facing the front. Notice if anything has shifted already, or if you're battling your mind. Both are correct, both are all right. And then go ahead and flutter your eyes open if they've shut, and you're gonna grab your blanket and put it off your mat if you had your blanket on your mat. And we're gonna come to stand at the top of our mat. So feet together, palms out, lift your heart. Remember, we're noticing today, so you're gonna bend your knees for your chair pose. So we're starting to build a little heat. So arms come up by the ears. If that's too much, you can place your hands on your hips, gazing at the floor or at eye level, really sinking into your hips, lifting your heart here, shoulders rolling down the back. And just notice what happens when you're already in a pose that's challenging. Notice what your mind does. Does it tell you you can't? Do you want to turn off the video and go watch TV? Just notice what's going on. And then exhale to forward fold. Really nice. We're coming back into our chair pose. So bending your knees, arms come up by the ears or on the hips. And then take your hands into heart center. We're going to come into a twist. So right elbow comes across the left thigh, pressing the palms together, stacking the left shoulder over the right. Nice deep breaths here. Maybe sinking into it even more. And then we're going to pass through to chair. You can always forward fold if you're already a little spent and need a break. Taking the hands to heart center, we're twisting the other way. So left elbow comes across the right thigh, right shoulder stacks over left, sinking down, twisting heart open. Your knees should be in alignment. Notice if your left knee's protruding above your right. One more nice huge inhale through the nose, and then we'll come into our forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down to lift yourself up. And then gather your hands at heart center. So we're gonna move on. So standing at the top of your mat, lift your arms on your inhale, and then exhale, little bend in the knees to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. We'll take our hands down and pass through plank. So plank pose to our downward facing dog, pressing into the knuckles. Inhale, lift your right foot up to the sky. Pull your right knee in towards your nose, shoulders stack over wrist, tiger's pose. Inhale, lift that right foot up. And then this time we're gonna step it through for warrior one. So right foot goes where right hand is, back left foot spins to a 45-degree angle. Lift your heart, right knee stacks over right ankle, lift it up. If it's too much on the arms, you can put your hands on your hips. Or the arms extend overhead. And just notice here. So as we hold something for a little while, what happens in the mind, what happens in the thigh, energizing that back leg, pressing into the outer edge of your back left foot, lift your heart. And then on your next exhale, hands come down, right foot steps back to plank, downward facing dog. Inhale, the left foot lifts. We're gonna hug the left knee in towards the chest, shoulders stack over the wrists for tiger, and then extend that left leg back. And we're gonna come through for warrior one on the left. So left hand left foot where left hand is, back foot spins flat, and then we'll come on up for our warrior one on the left. So left knee sinks down over left ankle, lift your heart, pressing into the outer edge of your back right foot, engaging the breath, noticing the thoughts, noticing the body. One more nice big breath into your heart center. Exhale, the hands come down, left foot steps through plank. And then your choice here. So either downward facing dog, or if you're feeling a little tired today, you'll come back into your child's pose. Nice big breaths. And child's pose is always available in our yoga practice. It's a really good pose to come into for reflection. So if you need a little time out to check in, this pose is always available to you. Staying if you're in your downward facing dog, or coming through to downward facing dog if you're in your child's. Inhale to lift your right foot up to the sky. We're gonna come through for warrior two. So stepping the right foot in between the hands this time, spin your back foot flat, and we're gonna come up for warrior two. So the right ankle should be in line with the back foot. So in between that little space where the arch of your foot is, extend your arms long, sinking into the right knee and noticing this shape. So what is this shape like in your body today? Breathing deeply. Gazing over your right middle finger or just beyond. Keeping your arms active. And we're going to transition into triangle here. So noticing your transition, press your right leg straight, walk your back foot in a couple little walks, and then you're going to shoot your hips to the back of the room, extend your right arm long, and then you're going to take your right hand down onto your shin or on a block on the outside underneath your shoulder. I really like using the block in this shape because it really gives me some extension. So you're going to want to lift out of it, so not sinking down, lifting up, spreading your fingers wide on the left. And then go ahead on your next exhale, extend that left leg or left arm long over the body. Extend that left arm back up to the sky. And then you're going to put a bend back into your right leg. You can take your block off to the side, passing through warrior two. And then exhaling down to frame the foot, back to plank pose to downward facing dog. Inhale to lift your left foot up to the sky, pulling that left knee in, and we'll step the left foot in between the hands, back foot spins flat, sweeping it up to warrior two on the left. So heel to arch alignment, fingers spread wide, gazing over those left middle fingers. Nice deep bend, noticing what the shape feels like, noticing how you're showing up. Lifting up out of the shape even as you sink into it. And then we'll go ahead and extend that left leg. Walk your right toes in to shorten your stance, extending long over the body with the left hand. And then left hand either down on the shin or on a block. You have 3 different levels with the block, opening your heart to the sky. And if it doesn't feel good to look up at your hand in the shape, you can always look down at the ankle, but keep that heart twisting up. On your next exhale, extending the arm overhead, really twisting your heart up towards the sky. And then we're going to come back through to warrior two. So warrior two on the left, cartwheeling the hands down to frame the foot. Left foot steps back to meet right, plank. And then hips up to the sky for downward facing dog. We're going to come down into dolphin. So you're going to take your elbows down to the mat. Option to have your palms pressed down here, or you can interlace the fingers. The elbows should be shoulders width distance, and then you're going to walk your feet in a little bit. You're going to press into your forearms either way, keeping the shoulders rolling away from the ears. Few nice deep breaths here, noticing what this contraction and opening feels like. And then maybe you can play with lifting one foot. So maybe you lift your left leg up. And these are all suggestions. So if you're noticing that that's too much for you today, you can keep both feet down. Maybe you want to kick up. If you're feeling really good and energized with both feet, placing the left foot down and lifting the right foot up. So we're just using our mat to explore and see what's available in the body. And every day it's going to be different. Let's come into our child's pose. So knees as wide as the mat, big toes come together to touch. Forehead reaches towards the mat, placing a block underneath if that's not happening. Noticing. And then we'll go ahead and roll ourselves up. We're going to stay seated. So we're going to come into a series of forward folds now. So self-reflection requires us to bow inward a little bit. So go ahead and come to the soles of the feet together, knees fall out to the side. Hands can be around your ankles or your shins. Lift your heart here. Keeping your spine long, you'll start to forward fold, gently pressing your elbows into your inner legs, letting your chin fall into your chest. Noticing your breath, noticing your body in this shape, noticing how you feel when we hold things a little bit longer, where your mind goes. Really bowing in, giving over to the shape. Okay. And then go ahead and lift yourself up. On your next inhale, we're going to extend the legs long. You can move the kind of love away from your hips if you have anything there. Gently press your thighs down, but keep a little softness in your knees. Lift your heart here. And the idea is that we're going to take our heart towards our thighs. Probably won't ever happen, doesn't matter. Letting your head fall in towards your center. If you're super flexible, you can take your hands around the outsides of your feet, but that's not really the goal. The goal is to bow in, let go, let our heads go, let our hearts sink. Nice deep breaths in and out of the nose here. Notice where your mind is. Bring it back into your body if it's drifted off. And on your next inhale, lift yourself up. And we're going to come to lay on our back. So go ahead and grab that block. Come to lay on your back. We're going to come in for a series of bridge poses. So fingertips grazing the heels. You want to start to press down into the heels, engage the thighs. So before you even lift up out of it, feel your thighs start to engage. Keep your bottom loose. And then go ahead and press yourself up. Options with the hands to grab the outer edges of the mat or to clasp the hands and tuck the shoulders, spreading the heart wide, pressing down, lifting up, keeping your bottom loose. And then maybe you want to play here. So maybe pressing down into the left leg, extending the right leg long. Or maybe you don't feel like playing today. Maybe as you notice yourself, you just want to keep it really simple. Placing the right foot down if you've extended it up. Maybe switching to the other side. Just playing around, noticing and seeing what's available. Let's lift up for one more inhale. And then exhale, letting the hips reach the mat. Taking a little breath in between, a little moment of pause. Noticing if anything shifted from that shape. And then deciding based on what you learned, if you want to come in for another one of those, or if you just want to place a block, which should be nearby, underneath your hips. So pressing into the heels, lifting your hips, and then maybe sliding that block underneath your seat. Opening your heart, palms up to the sky, or you can take a bridge pose. Either way, really taking in your breaths into your heart center. And then options here. So maybe you want to take your legs up the block. So this is a nice restorative inversion. Or maybe if you've been doing bridge pose, you come out of bridge and then you lift up and put the block underneath your bottom for support and take a restorative bridge. Or maybe you join us here. And in this shape, if you have your legs up, you might start to notice your blood kind of tingling down your legs. Or maybe you notice that your abs have to engage a little bit. This is all really healthy stuff. And yoga really gives us an opportunity to really tune into our bodies and how they're feeling and how they're moving. A few more nice big breaths here. And then if you have your legs up, on your next exhale, releasing them down. Either way, pressing into your heels, lifting up, and then sliding the block to the other side. Let's take our feet as wide as the mat and allow the knees to kind of fall in towards each other. This is a nice release for the low back. Remembering to notice those transitions as we hug the knees into the chest. Notice how you're showing up and transitioning between postures. Take your arms wide like a T. And then you're gonna let your knees fall over to the right, keeping your left shoulder down on the mat. So if your left shoulder starts coming up, you're gonna want to take your block and place it underneath your right knee. Option to stay looking up at the ceiling, or if you want to look over your extended left arm, that's cool. Nice big breaths into this shape. Letting yourself relax into the floor. Hug your knees back into center. And then we'll set it up for the other side. So arms like a T, knees falling over to the left. Again, if your shoulder's coming way up off the mat, you can place a block underneath your knees. Maybe gazing over your right hand, or stay looking up at the ceiling or closing the eyes. Coming back through center. Hugging your knees in towards you, and then we're going to take our forehead to our knees, so making ourselves into a little tiny ball. And then we'll release out for our shavasana, final rest. Move away anything that might be touching you. Tuck your shoulders underneath you, feet wide, arms wide, palms up. And just allow yourself to let go of any kind of controlled breath work, any tension you're still holding on to in the body. And we'll rest here for about a minute. No work, supported by the earth. Take a nice big breath into your heart center. And letting your exhale fall out your mouth. Let's take one more big inhale into your nose. Gently exhale out your mouth. Take your thumbs and brush them across each fingertip, noticing it. Find a little wiggle in your toes, maybe a little roll of your ankles. And then next, inhale, send your arms up and overhead, full body stretch, pointing your toes, extending your arms. And then you'll roll over to your right side, making a little pillow for your head with your inner arm. Noticing how you feel. And then using your left hand to press you up, back to the seat where you started. Palms down again on the thighs, heart lifting up towards the sky. And just notice what happened on your mat today. So how did you show up? How did you transition? And you can really use this practice of Svadhyaya, this Niyama. You can take this off the mat into your real life by taking an activity that you do regularly, like running or driving or making breakfast, and just spending a week or so just noticing how you're showing up to that activity. So no judgment of it, just notice how you're showing up. And then at the end of that week, maybe making some decisions. If you're showing up in a way that feels good to you, maybe there's something you want to shift about what you're doing or how you're doing it. So drawing your hands to heart center, bowing your chin into your chest. The light in me acknowledges the light in your beautiful heart. Namaste.